Are we live? You know, it's hard to tell. It's a good thing to wait a few seconds and see, because sometimes I look at these afterwards and I come in the middle of a sentence. So by now, 15 seconds, yeah, we should be live. So I'm Raleigh Brown, and this is another in a series of what we call curve flattening concerts. And they're meant to kind of give you something to think about while the world around us goes through its changes, the changes which are inevitable and are always happening. So for today, I have my usual 4 performances for you. 1 will be instrumental, and the other 3 will not. Will be singing. And this first one is a blues, a jazzy blues by the great songwriter and jazz pianist and vocalist, Mose Allison, and it's called One of These Days. Now one of these days I'm gonna get myself right. Gonna do all my business in the daylight. One of these days I'm gonna get myself right. Do all my business in the broad daylight. And one of these days I'm gonna get myself straight. Quit going around acting like a reprobate. Yeah, I'm gonna get myself straight. Quit staying out late and acting like a reprobate. And one of these days I'm gonna get in step. You know it won't be long before I'll be needing help. One of these days I'm gonna get in step. The way I'm going, it won't be long before I'll be needing help. And one of these days I'm gonna go back home and sit down on my front porch, compose a poem. One of these days I'm gonna go back home. And sit down on my back porch, compose a poem. Yeah, one of these days I'm gonna get myself right, do all my business in the daylight. One of these days I'm gonna get myself right, gonna do all my business in the broad daylight. Yeah, one of these days. Mose Allison, one of these days. A little tune to reflect on mending your broken ways. Now this next song, I wrote this next song, and there's a famous story about Reverend Gary Davis, who wrote the song that Peter, Paul, and Mary recorded called If I Had My Way. And when they went to have him sign the papers so he'd get a lot of money in royalties, he bought a house with it. They asked him, the lawyers, they had him all sitting at the table, and Peter, Paul, and Mary were there. And they asked him, so Reverend Davis, do you attest that you wrote this song? And the Reverend said, no, I did not write this song. And everybody went, ee! And then he said, it was revealed to me. And in a way, this next song is about, it's taken from a story, book by Barry Lopez, an ostensibly true story about a child raised by wolves. And I just kind of wrote down the story, so it was kind of revealed to me. But I like this song, and it makes the hair on the back of your neck raise up a little. It's called On Devil's River. Mama died giving birth one night. No one in sight to help deliver. They found no babe when they came the next day. Hungry wolves, they say, on Devil's River. Now 10 years passed, Apache warriors say. They've seen tracks, strange footprints one day. They see tracks of young wolves at play, and of a child, so they say, on Devil's River. The white men come with their fire and guns. They're gonna catch someone on Devil's River. And in the canyon, they finally cornered their proof. They caught a young girl and drove off a wolf. They bound her hands and they took her back, locked her up in a shack on Devil's River. Many wolves on the prowl that night. They heard her howl that night. All the cattle spooked, the cowboys watched them till dawn. When they returned, they found the wolf girl was gone. I heard this tale, mining silver ore, just a tale and nothing more, on Devil's River. But late last month, when the moon was full, I saw two wolves with one young girl on Devil's River. That tale comes from a book called Of Wolves and Men by Barry Lopez, who's a naturalist. And it's a great book all around, but that tale is in there, and it's pretty specific. It gives the names of the parents who were killed when the baby was born, and the time it happened and the area it happened in. So take it for what it's worth. And she was actually seen years later by a group of surveyors. Surveyors wasn't a good rhyme, so I used mining silver ore. So next up, I think yesterday was the birthday of my late friend Steve Mann, who was a wonderful guitar player, a gentle soul who through much of his life was schizophrenic and disappeared for many years after he was already a guitar legend in Southern California, and actually in Northern California as well, and reemerged in 2003. And I had idolized his playing, and I got to know him, went out and stayed with friends and hung out with him for a couple weeks. And this was his kind of signature instrumental. He's mostly known as a really blues jazz, these kind of cool slippery licks thing, but this is just a beautiful instrumental that he wrote, and it's called Holly. So that's Holly by Steve Mann, which he wrote for what we could euphemistically call an exotic dancer with whom he was in love. It didn't end well. But he got a great instrumental out of it, which has lived long after, unfortunately, long after Steve did. We're going to go into drop D here for this last song. Now, in the introduction of my blurb on this video, I mentioned that I was going to do a song by Lowell George. Some of you know who Lowell George is, some of you may not. Some of you may remember the band called Little Feat. Some of you may not, but Lowell George was the prime mover in that band, that wonderful band. Died young from heart attack related probably to drug overuse. He actually played here near Philly. The gig before his last gig was at a club called Alexander's in Brown Mills, New Jersey, and I was at that gig. He showed up about 3 hours late and played for a couple hours after that. It was a late night, but in retrospect, I was glad I got to see him when I did. And this is a song he recorded on his one solo album, and it's just a sweet, beautiful song. Well, if it's fix a fence, send fender dents, I've got lots of experience. Rent gets spent, all the letters never written that don't get sent. It comes from confusion, all the things I've left undone. They go from moment to moment, day to day. Time seems to slip away, and I've got 20 million things to do, 20 million things, and all that I can do is think about you with 20 million things to do, 20 million things to do. I've got mysterious, wisterious, hanging in the air. The rocking chair I was supposed to fix, well, it come undid, and all the things that I let slip, I found out quick. They go from moment to moment, day to day. Time seems to slip away, and I've got 20 million things to do, 20 million things, and all that I can do is think about you with 20 million things to do, 20 million things to do. Lowell George, 20 million things to do. So that's our 4 tunes for today. I would like, as usual, to thank you for tuning in. You might want to join my buddy Alex Bevan at 3:30 today for his daily concert on Facebook. Cozy Sheridan and Charlie Koch do a concert Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. Mary Flower does concerts. She's a wonderful blues guitarist and singer. I'm trying to think of who else. Guy Davis as Kokomo Kid does a morning breakfast thing, which I'm probably competing with today. So take good care of yourselves. It has been pointed out that the word quarantine originally originated from the term of 40 days, quar, and after 40 days, you may have started to go a little crazy, and so might we all. So try to calm yourself down, and I'm going to bring this down a little because I think I have a little friend coming to visit. Come here, Suk. You want to get on camera and be on live all over the world and the country? There she is. There's her little butt. Now her little head will turn. There she is. And this is what she does when she comes down here. She just wants her little butt to be rubbed, and she'll be here she's my girl. So, as Suki would say, if she could speak to you now, stay safe, stay sane. If you get cranky, take a nap. And we'll see you again on Tuesday at 3 p.m. for the next concert. Do remember in your hearts that today is the third of 4 days that were the 50 years ago the Kent State murders occurred. And those of us who were there can never forget that. And it marked us for life. And we, even in the midst of what we're going through right now, we still have to go back and remember that and pay respect to it. Okay? Anyhow, enough. I digress. Have a good day. See you soon. Bye-bye.